Hey everyone, it's Glenn Rawson, and yeah, it's December 11th, 2023, and right behind me is my traveling bunkhouse, my history wagon on wheels. I had a story I wanted to share with you this morning as I'm walking along. It happened in 1921 in Hawaii. Yeah, I realize the sun's at my back and you can't see me really well, but that'll change in a moment. It happened in 1921 in Hawaii. President David O. McKay and others of the brethren, Hugh Cannon, were traveling the world's missions. And they stopped to tour the mission in Hawaii, and after a long day of meetings, it was decided that a number of them would go up to the Kilauea volcano. You've heard this story. And they would view the then active volcano. So 2 carloads, about 10 brethren, went up to see the volcano. And in so doing, they pulled up to the volcano and stood on the rim looking down in, and it was still active. Lava was boiling. And Hugh Cannon describes that it was an interesting situation because the cold wind blowing down from snow-covered Mauna Loa was behind them, and in front of them was the active volcano. So one side of them is roasting, the other side is freezing. Well, then somebody noticed that right down below there was a volcanic ledge down inside the crater. And President McKay climbed down inside the ledge, and then 3 other brethren went down, and there they stood looking at the volcano, protected from the heat by the balcony. Kind of made fun of the others up on top because they were too timid to come on down. And then all of a sudden, President McKay said, "Brethren, I feel impressed that we should get out of here." And he helped the 3 men get out of the volcano, and then he was the last one to climb out. And no sooner had they reached the rim of the volcano than the entire balcony collapsed and dropped into the volcano. Hugh Cannon describes that the men just stood there, stunned, couldn't believe what they had just seen. No doubt in anyone's mind, as he put it, that it was direct revelation given to a worthy man. Well, I tell you that story because on this beautiful winter morning, I'm in the lovely mountain community of Huntsville, Utah. And oh, it is beautiful here. And right over here, I want you to see this, is President McKay's home. It's preserved just as it is. I'm coming back probably in the next week or so, and John McKay, a descendant of President McKay, is going to take me through the home. But I just wanted you to know, revelation is real. God still talks to his children. He still cares that much about us and about you. From Huntsville, Utah, elevation 4,900 feet, snow on the ground, this is Glenn Rawson. Have a great day. Hey everyone, just wanted to share a really cool story with you. Years ago, there were two men riding on horseback from a little town called Manaway, Ohio, riding to another destination. The two men, one was about 19 years of age approximately, maybe a little younger. He was a college student, enrolled in Presbyterian College, Oberlin College, there in Ohio. And he was riding towards the community of Kirtland, Ohio, to attend a new school called the Hebrew School. And the fellow that was riding with him, well, the two of them, the older fellow was, the young college student was educated. He came from prosperous circumstances, well-spoken, well-educated, something of a bit, at that time, a bit of a spoiled lad, I suppose. While the older fellow was a rustic. He had grown up in Vermont, and he had never had the privileges of home and family and all of the other beautiful things that came. In fact, so much was he deprived of the beauties of home and family that he didn't even know his own birth date. Well, as the two men rode along, they struck up a conversation. The older man, of course, the conversation covered many subjects, but eventually the conversation turned toward religion. And that subject became, well, very intense. And the young man at first was a little bit inclined to dismiss the older fellow's language because, well, he was something of a rustic, didn't have the proper grammar and diction and all that kind of stuff. But he said that the more the older fellow talked, the more convinced he became that he was telling the truth because of his earnestness and his sincerity and the convictions that the man had. By the time they reached the town of Kirtland, the young man's heart was touched, and he knew what the older fellow had told him was true. And the older fellow told him, "You need to find out for yourself. Go and pray about it and know for yourself if I'm telling you the truth." The young man did. And he would later describe that moment on horseback by the power of a simple testimony. He called that the turning point in his life. 64 years later, that young man, now a much older man, would describe that he recalled that moment as clear as if it was yesterday. He never, ever forgot it. Well, the older fellow who bore that testimony was that beautiful testimony was none other than David W. Patton of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles. And the young man who heard that beautiful testimony, his name was Lorenzo Snow. They were on the road between Oberlin College, between Manaway, Ohio, and Kirtland, Ohio. Shortly after that testimony, Lorenzo Snow was baptized. And many years later, he moved to Utah. And from Utah, he helped settle Brigham City. And that's where I am. It's an amazing thing to me, the power of a testimony. All the way from a ride on horseback in Ohio to decades later, pioneering the valleys of the mountains and buried here in Brigham City, Utah. I just want you to know, guys, that a testimony is a very precious and powerful thing. Look at the good that it can do. Oh, and I might add, there's someone else buried right here by President Snow. Boyd K. Packer. One more thing. It is right now, Sunday night, December 10th, 2023, here in Brigham City. Next Sunday night, you should know that the Box Elder Symphonic Choir is having their first ever performance in the Box Elder Tabernacle since the ending of the pandemic. They used to pack the house, and now they've gotten it started again. And next Sunday night, December 17th, at 7 o'clock, if you are anywhere close to Brigham City, you need to come and see this. This is Glenn Rawson. An overcast, cloudy evening, Brigham City, Utah. Bless you, my friends. I hope you had a great Sabbath. See you later.